The largest World Cup ever conceived is racing toward kickoff, yet behind FIFA's polished confidence, something feels dangerously unstable. What was supposed to become football's greatest global celebration is increasingly being overshadowed by uncertainty. Across continents, travel concerns are rising, political tensions are intensifying, and new questions about access, logistics, and security continue to emerge. This was supposed to be the tournament that redefined football forever. 48 nations, 3 host countries, record-breaking stadiums. A tournament designed to prove the World Cup had entered a bold new era. Instead, a very different mood is beginning to spread. Fans are hesitating. Supporters are questioning whether the journey will be worth the risk, the cost, and the uncertainty. And as controversy gathers from every direction, one uncomfortable possibility is becoming impossible to ignore. What if the most ambitious World Cup in football history becomes its most complicated modern test? The matches will be played. The cameras will roll. The world will watch. But hanging over everything is the question FIFA can no longer avoid. Will World Cup 2026 become football's ultimate triumph, or its greatest logistical gamble? And this is where FIFA's real problem begins. Every World Cup carries controversy. Political disputes, organizational pressure, and unexpected complications have always followed football's biggest event. But 2026 is different because the pressure is no longer arriving from one direction. It is coming from everywhere at once. Instead of conversations centered on title contenders, tactical systems, and superstar rivalries, headlines surrounding this tournament are increasingly dominated by immigration concerns, political rhetoric, social tension, and public uncertainty. For FIFA, this creates a uniquely dangerous challenge. The organization's greatest strength has always been its ability to make football eclipse everything else. Every 4 years, the World Cup becomes larger than politics, larger than economics, larger than global division. For 1 month, football commands the world's full attention. But this time, the outside world refuses to stay outside. Every controversy becomes another distraction. Every distraction weakens the emotional buildup. Every headline drags the narrative further away from football itself. FIFA can coordinate logistics, schedule matches, and secure broadcasting deals, but it cannot control the political climate surrounding the event, and that climate is becoming increasingly volatile. As kickoff approaches, FIFA finds itself confronting an uncomfortable reality. The infrastructure may be ready. The stadiums may be ready, but the global conversation is moving in a direction the organization never intended. Then another warning signal emerged. World Cups are built on momentum. Long before the opening whistle, anticipation is supposed to explode. Flights become scarce, hotel prices surge. Host cities prepare for waves of international visitors. That expectation becomes part of the spectacle itself, but reports emerging from several host markets suggest a more complicated picture. Businesses prepared for extraordinary demand. Hospitality operators reserved massive inventory. Prices were raised in anticipation of a historic tourism boom. Yet, expectation does not always translate into reality. Some tourism analysts have noted softer booking patterns than expected. Others have adjusted pricing strategies to stimulate demand, and that creates a dangerous perception problem. The World Cup depends as much on belief as it does on logistics. The tournament thrives on the idea that everyone wants to be there. The moment stories begin circulating about slower demand or cautious travelers, uncertainty spreads quickly. Potential visitors begin questioning the cost, the timing, and the overall value of making the journey. Once doubt enters the equation, it becomes difficult to reverse. Football fans are emotional consumers. They want to feel they are stepping into history. If enough supporters sense hesitation from others, many may decide not to make the trip themselves. Whether those concerns are fully justified becomes almost irrelevant because perception itself becomes reality. But then came the issue FIFA never wanted at the center of this tournament. Football calls itself the world's game, and the World Cup is supposed to embody that principle more than any event on Earth. Fans travel across oceans. Families save for years. Entire generations dream of attending even a single match. Yet for many supporters, attending World Cup 2026 is becoming about far more than simply buying a ticket. It is becoming about navigating uncertainty. Visa requirements, entry procedures, border processing, and security regulations are becoming central parts of the conversation. Every sovereign nation has the right to protect its borders. Every host country must prioritize security. But when the world's largest sporting event depends on seamless international movement, those policies inevitably become part of the tournament experience. Fans are no longer simply calculating travel costs, they are evaluating risk. They are weighing uncertainty. They are asking whether the process of entry will justify the emotional and financial investment. That hesitation matters deeply. The World Cup atmosphere is built by traveling supporters. The chants, the colors, the flags, and the cultural collision of nations define the event. Reduce enough international presence, and something fundamental changes. The tournament may still succeed operationally, the stadiums may still fill, but the soul of the event becomes something different. FIFA understands this better than anyone, because the World Cup is not simply a competition, it is a global gathering. And then attention turned toward America itself. Host nations traditionally enjoy one of football's greatest advantages: overwhelming home support. Historically, that emotional force has transformed hosts into dangerous competitors. But the United States presents a very different reality. Recent international matches have revealed an unusual pattern. In many stadiums, visiting supporters have matched and sometimes overwhelmed home crowds. Entire sections have been dominated by rival colors and chants. This reflects America's unique cultural landscape. The United States is home to millions of passionate football supporters whose deepest loyalties belong elsewhere. Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, England, Germany. Their support does not disappear inside American stadiums, it becomes louder, and that creates one of the most unusual host environments in World Cup history. For neutral viewers, this may create an extraordinary multicultural spectacle, but for the host nation, it introduces uncertainty. Home advantage may not feel like home advantage at all. Instead of overwhelming support, American players could find themselves competing in divided atmospheres unlike anything previous hosts have experienced. And if that emotional edge disappears, expectations become far harder to predict. And then there is the opponent no organizer can control: weather. No political negotiation can influence it. No emergency committee can contain it. No scheduling adjustment can fully eliminate it. Summer heat across North America may become one of the tournament's most unpredictable variables. Sports scientists have repeatedly warned about the risks associated with extreme temperatures. Elite football already pushes athletes to their limits. World Cup intensity pushes those limits even further. Add prolonged summer heat, and performance conditions become significantly more dangerous. FIFA has prepared mitigation measures, including hydration protocols, cooling breaks, and medical monitoring. But concern remains because weather does not follow organizational planning. Every heat-related incident carries global consequences. Every exhausted player becomes a headline. Every visible medical intervention becomes part of the tournament's public narrative. Organizers remain confident, but unlike political disputes or logistical setbacks, weather answers to no authority. Once the tournament begins, nature becomes an uncontrollable participant, and unlike any team on the field, it cannot be outplayed. And that changes everything. The remarkable truth is that none of these issues are likely to stop World Cup 2026. The matches will happen. The stadiums will open. Billions will watch. Football's greatest spectacle will still arrive. But success is never defined by kickoff. It is defined by memory. Years from now, nobody will remember the planning meetings or carefully managed press conferences. They will remember the story. Every World Cup leads behind a defining narrative, and right now, the narrative of 2026 remains unwritten. Perhaps football overwhelms every controversy. Perhaps unforgettable drama erases every concern. Perhaps this becomes the greatest celebration FIFA has ever delivered. But there is another possibility: that the tensions dominating today's headlines become inseparable from the tournament itself. Travel uncertainty, political division, tourism hesitation, security concerns, climate pressure, public skepticism, each challenge may appear manageable alone. Together, they create something much larger, and with the countdown accelerating, FIFA now faces a reality it never expected. It no longer controls the conversation. The world does. And as the clock moves closer to kickoff, the biggest question is no longer whether the tournament is ready. The real question is whether football can once again become the main story.